Thank you so much for joining us here today. Today, we are honored to have with us Ms. Geeta M. from Philips Innovation Campus. Geeta has over 35 years of experience in the software industry. She's worked across verticals, banking, defense, developing software. She's been with Philips for 21 years now, and she feels passionately for healthcare. So, Geeta, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's an honor to have you with us. Geeta, if you could explain a little bit about how your journey has been, in the industry so far.
Thank you, Supriya. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me for this discussion. So just to talk about my own journey, right? So I graduated from Bangalore Institute of Technology in computer science. My batch was actually the first batch to graduate in computer science and technology as such. And that during those times, it was also not very common, especially women taking up engineering. And there were only 18 of us in the entire college, in the university, in fact, who had joined this engineering course. And all of us were kind of moved into the computer science program. And there was a lot of people asking, why computer science? What is this all about? What are you going to do? Nobody understood. Even we did not understand. Some of my classmates also moved into other fields like mechanical, electronics, etc. But some of the interest was there. It was an interesting area. So we continued with, at least I continued with computer science and technology per se. After that, I joined State Bank of Mysore through a startup company, and I was involved in the banking software development. We used to write actually banking software using C program languages, so it was very interesting. And we automated the backend of State Bank of Mysore. Very interesting. Even in those times, the bankers themselves were so interested in the technology that they, on their own initiative, tried to learn programming. And I was involved in teaching them. So along with the programming, we used to do the training for all the bankers in the thing. And some of them were very smart. They picked up programming so fast, in fact. So then I moved from the banking, I moved into the defense sector. So I moved to HAL, and I was working with the Light Combat Aircraft project, LCA project, which was actually across multiple units, I would say, of defense. HAL, ADA, there was a Aeronautical Development Agency, and ADE, NAL, all those Indian Institute of Science, everybody was involved. So it was a very prestigious project at that point of time. And that was a period when I really learned quite a bit about engineering. I learned about aeronautics, in fact, at that point of time. And for me, that's when I realized that software was just a tool or a technology to enable different applications. It could be in various sectors. Yeah. So I learned a lot of real-time programming when I was in that particular project. I moved to CMC. That was a longish tenure, about 7 to 8 years, which I spent in CMC. And there I did many projects for defense. I was in training. I was in, we also did a small project for healthcare, but very, very small. But most of these activities were again in the defense for BEL and other areas. After that, a couple of startups again in between in the finance sector. And then I joined Philips in 2000. And that was a career changer for me because it brought healthcare and the technology which I love together. Yeah, so it was a space that really resonated for me, and that's where I've been for the past 21 years.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Geeta. I mean, it's so heartening to listen to a woman achieving so much, which is primarily considered a man's domain. So that's great. So talking about women and their responsibilities, Geeta, the pandemic has been extremely challenging for women, right? I'm sure it has been for you as well. I mean, online classes, and we have to manage the added responsibilities of home and work, everything, from the comfort of our homes. I mean, comfort, if we can call that. So how has it been for you, and how has it been for your colleagues, and how have you been helping them cope with the situation?
Yeah, that's a very, very relevant question in these times, right? So this pandemic actually, for me, has been a challenge in challenge and an opportunity, I would say. A big opportunity because I didn't have to travel for the 24 kilometers from my home to the office, right? So it saved a lot of time in terms of the travel. But inside a home, luckily for me, my children are all grown up, right? So they are all settled and I don't have any of these online classes to take care of. But I can see my daughter struggling. She was struggling with the online classes and she was trying to manage her son and at the same time do her work. So that was, and you can see it happening in front of you, right? So it's not easy to keep yourself distant. So you get involved in what is happening there. And with my colleagues, I've heard many of those cases where they were really stressed out, women especially, because uh, it comes to them as a responsibility, and it is natural, I think, to do the nurturing part, and they are mainly involved in the education of the child. So if the husband and wife are both working, it comes on the wife, actually, the lady of the house, actually, to sit down with the child and tutor them along with the teacher. Yeah. So after that, they have to attend to their work space and do that. So I've seen my colleagues actually trying to manage that. So trying to do the classes or sit with the child in the mornings, and later in the evenings, they extend the time. So they spend a lot of time online. After 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I see many of them trying to catch up on their work, do their deliveries, etc. So it's been a difficult time. I hope the classes will start soon, and that will at least give them a break. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right there about the classes. Geeta, you already said that you're very passionate. You feel very passionately for healthcare and the use of digital technologies to make healthcare more accessible. So, what are some of the what are some of the initiatives that you're spearheading at Philips Innovation Campus?
Okay, so till last year, I was leading the research department in PIC at Bangalore, right? So I was heading that department, and we didn't bring in a lot of innovative solutions to that area. And one of the areas I was very passionate about was data science and AI. So even in as a department lead, I was actually involved in fostering innovation and also helping build that capability in data and AI, because we saw that was a technology that is taking off. Artificial intelligence is almost all prevalent now, right? In all applications, even in our phones, we have AI now. So it was definitely going to make a big impact for healthcare. And that's the reason we started already building those kind of capabilities within the department in Bangalore. But last year, I got an opportunity to lead the capability and excellence for the data science and AI Center of Excellence within Philips. It is a global role. So my role is basically to develop key capabilities in data science and AI across the company. So how do you go? It looks a little, yeah, okay, what is it kind of thing, right? Simplistic if you say that. But the challenge is that data science and AI is an evolving field. Yeah, there are many different thoughts behind it. Every day you read something about it which talks a little different. Earlier, when I was building those capabilities, the focus was completely on algorithms and model development. What are the new ways and techniques like deep learning, machine learning, different networks, etc., which were important. The focus was completely, the research was completely on that space. Yeah. But as we progress, we learn that data is much more important. Yeah? Of course, models are also important, but without the data, without that food which feeds into that AI models, there is nothing that you gain. So data is very important. And why we looking at data is you need the data to be cleaned, to be presented in, and put it in such a way that the machines can understand and make sense of it. Right. So that's given that changing nature of data science and AI and the evolving field, what are the key capabilities you see as relevant for the long term? So understanding that is a little bit of a challenge. And if you look at Gartner or many of the research reports, every time they come up with something, new ways and new things that are required to be done. Yeah. So that's the challenge that we are faced with. And what does it really mean, building capabilities? It means that we have to have the right roles and responsibilities defined. So you have, if you say somebody is a data scientist, for example, what is the data scientist expected to do in a company like Philips? Yeah. What is a data analyst expected to do? What is the difference between the data scientist and a data analyst? Where do they overlap? Do they have to work together? How do they work with the software engineers and the other thought leaders or other practitioners within the company? All those areas that you have to really define for your company. So that's one thing that I'm involved in. The organization structure. What are the key roles that you need? For example, do you need a data architect? Do you need a data steward, somebody who is getting data into the company, so that you're making use of the data? When you are in the healthcare space, this becomes a little bit more challenging, getting access to the data, because the data is within the hospitals. It is also belongs to the patient. It is also very sensitive data. There are many guidelines like the HIPAA rules, privacy rules, the GDPR privacy rules, which manages and controls the privacy and security data. So to circumvent all that and get access to the data is not an easy task. So you have to work with collaborations, or you have to make partnerships, or you have to build products and solutions which gives you that kind of data. Yeah. So the data stewards role becomes a very key. And how do you shape that role? Where are they in the organization? How many do you need? How do you train them? All these aspects becomes part of capability development. I'm also involved in developing the training curriculum for the practitioners, for the leaders in the company, because everybody has to use this tool. They have to have a minimum understanding of what data science and AI is all about, including for all, even including functions like HR, finance. Everybody needs to know how to leverage the strength and the almost revolutionary kind of transformational kind of technology that we have coming up in data science and AI. And that's what I'm doing. Very excited about it and highly engaged in this particular role. Yeah, keeps me on my toes, actually.
That's so wonderful to know, Geeta. So you mentioned all the challenges with data science and AI. Another challenge that we often hear about is that there are less skilled professionals when it comes to these fields. So
Yeah.
how does the scenario look like when it comes to women? I mean, Philips is so fortunate to have you, but are there enough women in the field?
So interestingly, I found quite a number of women who have taken up data science and AI. So it must be yeah, just that opportunity space, I think, right? So it is the same, I would say, like the software space. Similar to that, this is another niche area which is evolving, right? I recently have somebody who joined my team who also has a good background in data science and AI. The interesting thing that I noticed with all these players who are women or men, right, who have picked up this skill is that they have continued their learning journey. Yeah, so they have made efforts, like the somebody who joined my team recently. She, on her own initiative, has gone through multiple courses, training courses, online courses, understanding data science and AI. And she has also enrolled in a university program, online program, to get her master's in data science and AI. And that's what makes a difference. So if you have the interest and you know this is an evolving field and you take it up, and that's where you can build your capabilities and skills there. So yeah, that's what we have been encouraging. There's so much available now online, right? Earlier you had to go to a university and study, etc., to get your degree, but there's so much of material, including YouTube. YouTube also has got tremendous amount of material that will help you to learn those new skills. So that's what I encourage everybody. Yeah, if you're interested and there's a great field to be in, yeah, just enroll for those kind of programs and go through those conferences or online programs, etc., and learn those new skills. So that's the only way you can build capabilities and skills in this area. It's like I said, no, it's evolving. So if you have to keep up with that, best way is online.
So that's so great to know, Geeta. I actually wanted to ask you, about how women are turning towards AI and data science and courses, things like that, because of the pandemic situation. You've already answered that for me. So Geeta, you've been in the industry for over 35 years. 35 years. You would have worked with so many different kinds of people, and now you're leading an entire team. So, what is your leadership style?
My leadership style has always been a very supportive kind of leadership, highly participative. So I believe that only when you collectively you get encourage people and you learn from you get to their ideas right to onto the table. That's when you can build consensus, and that's when you can also get their a strong commitment and their inspiration to take it forward. Much more participative style of leadership, very supportive. And also one of the things that I always hear from my own team members is that they don't hesitate to come to me. It's always an open door kind of thing. So if they're facing any problems, they don't agree with some of the decisions that I have taken, they will actually walk in and talk to me about it. So that actually is a very strong strength, and I really like that way of building that trust, right? So if they have so much of trust in me that they are able to come and talk to me of something which they don't agree with me, that's great. So it's only when then you will be able to lead them. Otherwise it's very difficult if they are closed and you don't know what's happening behind their scene. It's very, very difficult.
So that's really wonderful to know, Geeta. I mean, we don't come across a lot of leaders who appreciate criticism. So that's really great to hear. So Geeta, if there is a small girl who's considering a career in STEM, what would you like to tell her?
Yeah, I would say it's a wonderful opportunity. It's a great field to be in. Especially, of course, women have this tendency, right? They are also very good, very versatile people, as I've seen. Women, naturally, if you see them, they're so talented. They can be good in arts. They can be very good in writing, science topics, etc. But they hesitate a little bit with maths always. Biology, they love. So they love understanding humans. They like the social. But maths is sometimes I'm a little old-fashioned, but that's where I've seen girls a little bit hesitant on taking up engineering. But if what I would really encourage, if they love that subject, maths is an important subject, I would say, for engineering per se. It is fundamental. It is all pervasive. It becomes very simple. If you understand the basics of maths, it becomes like it is rudimentary kind of thing, right? So I would encourage them to really take it up. One of the thoughts I would leave behind is it's a field that is ever changing. So I started like long back in programming. It was only C programming language, right? At that point of time, it's of course it's set the basis, the foundation is there. But over the years, I had to learn Visual Basic. I learned databases. Then I had learned C++, object-oriented programming. And now I'm into data science and AI. It's so much different. And I picked up, did actually a PhD in clinical data science very, very recently, just to get understanding of data science and AI. So you have to be on your toes. And it's if you like that, if you like learning always and keeping yourself up to date, this is a great field to be. And I would encourage all young ladies and women to actually take it up. It's a wonderful career opportunity. At least I've enjoyed my journey so far. So I'm sure everybody else will also do. And I've seen many passionate women. I have so many of them in my team. They enjoy and they do such tremendous work. So it's easier also. It's not manual labor, right? Physically also, it's not taxing. It's of course sitting in front of the computer. That can be at times a little difficult, but but it's a great field to be in.
Geeta, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. We truly appreciate it, and I'm sure even our audience will appreciate it. And most importantly, thank you for giving out the message that women have to continuously learn and upskill to evolve in their careers. Thank you so much, Geeta. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Supriya. Thanks a lot.